Welcome to the Common Patriot. I'm glad you're here. I had originally shot this video just earlier today and I did it live. I did my first YouTube live on the Common Patriot channel and I waited for it to upload and it was horrible. Not my speaking, well, you could say my speaking was horrible, but the sound was horrible. So I grabbed a quick camera and I'm going to go through the story one more time so those of you that want to hear the story can actually hear what I have to say. I titled this A Second from Death because I had a recent experience earlier this fall that was literally a second from death. And to give you a little bit of the background, you know, a lot of us have had near-death experiences or very close calls. I remember when I was in 6th grade, I had somebody jump the curb, hit me on my bike. They pinned my bike against the school building. I went up over the car. No more than some bumps and bruises for me, but that could have been very bad. When I was in college, I landed an airplane because I'm a pilot with a frozen windshield, and I could only look out of a hole about that big in the dark with no landing light and on a snow-covered runway, and not knowing how much ice I had on my wings at that point. So that was pretty sketchy. I was forced down by a thunderstorm. And by the time I got the airplane tied up, tornado sirens, and there was a funnel cloud off the end of the runway. Like many of you, I've had cars run stop signs in front of me where I was like, whoa, I can't believe I just didn't get in a crash right there. And those situations all get your blood pumping. They all get you going, adrenaline pumping, but nothing like the story I'm about ready to tell you. And so what was going on was, it was in September. Steve and I had been performing at a wonderful event down at, it's called the Missouri River Expo. It's at Ponca State Park in northeast Nebraska. Fantastic event. If you haven't been there, you should check it out. We had shows on Saturday and Sunday. On Sunday after the show, I was headed straight to Montana because Steve and I were going on an archery elk hunt. Steve was going to head back home to central Minnesota, drop our show stuff, and then meet me out in Montana the following day. And so I left the event around 5 o'clock, headed up into South Dakota, caught the interstate, and it was just an amazingly beautiful drive going heading west. Sunset was gorgeous going across the prairie of South Dakota, and just a gorgeous drive. Nice calm night, cool in the fall, and nothing really going on. Well, I get about 80 miles from Rapid City, South Dakota, and I run into just hellacious winds. So much so that even in my half-ton pickup, I started to slow down because I was worried. Obviously, the big, high-profile vehicles and semis, they put their flashers on, they were slowing down. But it wasn't more than a few miles, and I saw brake lights way up ahead, and I started to slow down and came to a complete stop. Both lanes on the interstate were at a standstill, and I just knew that there had been a blowdown up ahead of us. After sitting there for about an hour, I had a guy walk by the truck, and I asked him what was going on. He said a camper had blown over out in front of us, and that there were several others that had blown over between our location and Rapid City. So I didn't know how long I was going to be there. So I decided I'm going to climb in the back seat, take a nap. And so that's what I did. About 90 minutes later, I noticed the cars were starting to move. So I woke up, jumped in the front seat, got the truck going, pulled into traffic, and off I was. And I was intending to make Rapid City and pull over and sleep in the back of the truck that night. But ultimately, I just gotten a great rest. 90 minutes of sleep, I was feeling pretty good. I might as well keep on going and get some more miles on the road. I do apologize for my voice, guys. I am getting over a cold, and so actually, I've lost my voice for about 10 days. I'm over the cold, but my voice has not came back. But anyway, so I head on through Rapid City, up through northwest South Dakota, cut the corner in Wyoming, and up into southeast Montana. And I catch US Highway 212, which is the Warriors Highway, or Warriors Trail is what it's called. And it's called that because a lot of the battles with the Lakota and Cheyenne in the 1870s and 80s took place along that road. There's a lot of history along there. And I was super bummed that I wasn't able to drive that during the road, because I've always I've always liked to study the history of those people and the Northern Plains tribes, and I know a lot of the battle sites along that way. I just didn't know US 212 followed along there. But anyway, I head out from the last town of any size, and I'm seeing deer like on the shoulder of the road every mile, and pronghorn. And it's just crazy. Like, I'm driving, I'm like, oh boy, you know. But I realized that mule deer are not like whitetails. They don't just go, ah, and run in front of you and you smoke them with your vehicle. No, the mule deer didn't even raise their head. They're just down eating on the side of the road and don't even care I'm flying by them at 80 plus miles an hour. But the only people I'm meeting on this road or other vehicles are big rigs, semis and stuff. And so I'm passing a semi now and again and meeting one, every couple miles or whatever. But about 1:30 in the morning, I come across, starting to catch a vehicle off in the distance. Looks like a SUV or a minivan. I honestly don't recall which it was because of the event that I'm about ready to tell you. But as I'm approaching and getting about 100 yards from, behind this vehicle in front of me, a semi comes up over the little hill and meets that car and goes past that car. And just as they do that, or just as the semi does that, I see that he kind of is veering off into my lane. And it's middle of the night, so I'm kind of, he's coming into my lane. He is in my lane. And it all happened just like that. And I remember I told you I was only 100 yards from this other vehicle, so there wasn't much room for a semi to come into my lane. And he wasn't just over the center line. He was full headlights in my lane, and I saw no way out. And his headlights got right here. I was completely blinded by his headlights, and I knew I was dead. I knew I was dead. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the only thing that came to my mind was, oh, hit, with an S in front of it. There's nothing I could do. If I went to my left into his lane and he corrected, it's done. With the angle he was coming into my lane, I had nowhere. Even if I went for the ditch, he was going to smoke me. And so I went that direction, hit the horn. His headlights were, I thought he was right on the front of my vehicle. And I saw him swerve and his headlights come right past my head. And as I'm going by his trailer's leaned over from him swerving so hard. And I think my mirror is going to hit the side of the semi. I'm still maybe would hit him even though the front of him was past me. We're that close. I couldn't believe my mirror didn't hit the side of his trailer as it leaned over and I went like this past him. I looked in my rearview mirror after, he was passed, fully expecting to see him out of control and wipe out, flip over. And I was going to have to go back and check to see if he was okay. But at that moment, I knew just a second before I was dead. There was no question, not a single doubt in my mind that 100,000-pound rig was going to flatten me. And in that second after I realized I'm not dead, I praised God. I said, thank you, God. And I was overcome with emotion. Tears started to come down my face. And the adrenaline dumped out of my body and I just started to shake. Had close calls before, but nothing that ever had the physical reaction, uncontrollable physical reaction that this did. The next thought that came into my mind was just, thank you, I get to see my wife and kids again. Wasn't going to see them for a week or two, but I didn't die. And the third thing that came into my head that surprised me was, I get to see another sunrise. That beautiful time in the morning when the sun comes up and life awakens. I get to see another sunrise. That was beautiful to me. That was beautiful. And I bring up this story because there's a lot to it. Not only was it, I thought it was the end of the Common Patriot, the end of Aaron Gould, and some people would have been sad and most people would have moved on. But in that moment when I saw that death, what I thought was imminent, I had intense fear. But I wasn't scared. Now I make that distinction for a reason, because anyone that's going to look death in the eye, whether it be from a car or any other circumstances, is going to have fear. You're human, you're going to have fear. But I wasn't scared because I knew that in death there was life for those whose names are written in the book of life. And when I was, I think I was 22 in 2003, I gave my life to Jesus. I became a Christ follower in my senior year of college. And that was the single most important decision I ever made. Prior to that point in my life, I knew all the Bible stories. I knew what I should do. I was raised in a Christian household. But I wanted to live life however I wanted to live it and do whatever I wanted to do. And I thought that I would just, I'm going to die. Lord, please save me. I didn't have time. If that semi would have crushed me and I wasn't saved, I didn't have time. And that's what I actually want to get across with you, those of you that I love that come and watch the stuff on my channel, is life is so short. We are not guaranteed our next breath, let alone tomorrow or the next year. And we don't want to be sitting thinking about eternity, hoping that we get by the skin of our teeth. And so the single best decision I ever made was when I was a senior in college and gave my life over to Jesus. That doesn't mean that I'm perfect or without sin. I am. God's still changing me. 15 years, whatever it is later. He's still changing my heart. But I didn't have to be scared of death. I had fear. I had the most immense fear that I've ever felt in my life. But I wasn't scared because I knew that in eternity, even in death, I'd be with Jesus. And that's the most important thing. This video is a lot different. Like I said, I originally did this as a live video on my YouTube channel, but the sound was so horrible that, I just went outside, sitting on my deck, and put a camera on that I can get good sound, and I'll just upload this quick because it's a message that I want you guys to hear. I'm so thankful for another day, another week, another month, another year, potentially. And I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for you that come and watch the channel, watch the stuff. This is much different. It's not gun or hunting related content, and that's a huge passion of mine. But this is also a passion of mine and something that I wanted to share with you guys, how I was almost no more in just a second. Life is fragile, and we need to treat it as such. So as you go through the rest of your day, go give somebody you love a hug. Call somebody that you maybe haven't talked to for a while and say, I appreciate you. Maybe I need to take some of my own advice. I can think of a couple people that I should probably contact and say, haven't talked to you for a while. I love you. Seems a little bit corny to say my ending line, so I'm not going to say it this time. But I just want you guys to know that I care about you. I appreciate you. And we'll see you next time. If you like this kind of content, some live videos, I'll try and figure out why the sound was so horrible so I can do this live instead of doing a live video and then doing it again where I record it. But let me know. Let me know in the comments. You want to see some more live stuff, some more off the cuff, things like that. But till next time, God bless. Take care.